dressed and I left at 10. Check my nails, looking good. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Oh yeah, I know this'll be the day. Oh, yeah. Everything will be okay. Oh, yeah. I kiss my cares all away. Oh, yeah. It's gonna be a good, good day. It's gonna be a good, good day. Good, good day. Hey. I think it's finally all gonna go my way. Go my way. Rain or shine, no, I don't mind. This day is mine. I'm gonna chase all those gray clouds away. It's gonna be a good day. Cry myself to sleep and thinking better days are a far off dream. Get up and I move my feet, cause I hear music playing on these streets. Oh yeah. Ain't nobody gonna cry today. Oh, yeah. Ain't nobody gonna die today. Oh, yeah. I kiss my cares all away. Oh, yeah. It's gonna be a good, good day. It's gonna be a good, good day. Good, good day. Gonna be a good, good day. I think it's finally all gonna go my way. Be a good day. It's beautiful. It's gonna be a good day. No more crying myself to sleep and thinking better days are a far off dream. Get up and I move my feet, cause I hear music playing. It's gonna be a good, good day. It's gonna be a good, good day. Good, good day. I think it's finally all up and I rolled out of bed. Got dressed and I left at 10. Check my nails, looking good. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Oh yeah, I know this'll be the day. Oh, yeah. Everything will be okay. Oh, yeah. I kiss my cares all away. Oh, yeah. It's gonna be a good, good day. It's gonna be a good, good day. Good, good day. Hey. I think it's finally all gonna go my way. Go my way. Rain or shine, no, I don't mind. This day is mine. I'm gonna chase all those gray clouds away. It's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good day. No more crying myself to sleep and thinking better days are a far off dream. Get up and I move my feet, cause I hear music playing on these streets. Oh yeah. Ain't nobody gonna cry today. Oh, yeah. Ain't nobody gonna die today. Oh, yeah. I kiss my cares all away. Oh, yeah. It's gonna be a good, good day. It's gonna be a good, good day. Good, good day. Gonna be a good, good day. I think it's finally all gonna go my way. Rain or shine, no, I don't mind. This day is mine. I'm gonna chase all those gray clouds away. It's gonna be a good day. It's beautiful. It's gonna be a good day.
Your bell, ma'am.
Thank you.
No problem at all.
Good morning.
All right. Happy Thursday.
Thursday.
Yo, what's up with the
Almost Luau
rain?
Day.
How awesome was that?
Yeah. So when you're thinking about what you're going to wear for the luau, I wonder if anyone considered rain boots
That'd be
or a
cool.
rain jacket. No, it's not going to do it. It's not going to do it. It might rain in the morning, but it'll be all cleared up. Any of you who have been to our luau's in the past know that there's always that chance of rain, and it seems to taper off before night. So I am going to be positive that all is going to be great.
Perfect. Now, I was going to spray for mosquitoes, but like when it keeps raining, that's not really an
You
option.
sprayed last night, didn't you?
Yeah, well, that was for weeds, so that might not
Okay.
help. Anyways, so,
We've got lots of decorations put up. We had fun last night.
okay.
Okay.
Topics for today. Changing markets. How long is an approval good for?
Oh.
Yeah, you got to think about that when
Yeah.
the interest rates are changing, when approvals are changing, when companies are starting to lay off people, but they're hiring new ones.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot going on there. So we'll talk about that with a changing market.
Okay.
Because no one really knows what's going on now. We just jump from...
Correct.
It's like we just jump from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other. Of like, what's going on? And then alternative building materials for residential construction and how that could be impacting some items.
Yeah.
Okay?
And could it be better for us?
I don't know.
Okay.
We'll talk about those things.
Here we go.
Let's do it. In a changing market, how long is an approval good for? Well, it depends. So we're going to answer that question now with Shana. She's here to help us walk through this one. And the issue is, right now we have changing interest rates.
Right.
But there's other times when we have job market changes, where we have pricing changes, we have all these different items going on.
Right.
And we have an approval issued. And
Yeah,
we have to talk
and
about how long it's good for.
if your client has not been able to find a home and it's been, a few weeks since approval, and maybe they're kind of at the top of their price point, I mean, is 30 days really safe anymore? I think that before you pull the trigger, if you're having to go significantly over, then you need to talk to the lender and find out, does this impact them? Does this change their monthly payment dramatically, right? And it could. You always want to, on your third-party financing addendum, put a cushion in there. So I think having that conversation with the lender to say, hey, you've approved them at a 5% rate right now. What if it goes to 7%? What does that look like for the client? And encourage your client, your buyer, to have that conversation with their lender so they know, so they're not, hit with a surprise. Taxes are going to be more, all of these things they need to factor in, not just your lender approval, but yeah, that falls into it, your taxes,
So I would wonder, my question to you would be, your best course of action of after your client falls over when you say something about a 7% interest rate and they're laying on the floor, would you ask the spouse to help lift the person back up, or would you make sure that you lift with your legs, not your back, when you pick them up?
Lift with your legs.
Okay, so that's the suggestion there.
Always. Yeah.
So that's going to shock people when you say something like that, right? And
I think that's what's right now we're kind of in a shock because people are like, oh, I could have got a 4%. Now I'm at,
Yeah, and then you say another number like 7, right? And then all of a sudden they're like, whoa. And then so let's walk through the math that goes with that, right?
Okay, yeah.
So now all of a sudden you have an approval letter, you have a price point in your mind that
Yeah.
you're thinking about. And then you have the double whammy, right?
Yeah, you're
So the
feeling good. I
whammy
got
of
all
like
my
the price going to
approvals.
go to this.
Yeah.
So if the price goes up because it's a in-demand property and you're bidding above, and then you have the interest rate changes because right now they've just been huge swings in interest rates.
Yeah.
All right, so now we have that. Then all of a sudden the amount changes. And the reason that that's important is because people get approved based upon different ratios.
Right.
And the one that would be affected there most likely is their income probably is not swinging in drastic amounts, right? So they would either have to put
Not at
down
the
more
same rate.
money to get to the same monthly payment. Because there's a thing called their ratios. They'll have their front end and back end ratios, and you need to make sure that both are kept in line. Just a friendly reminder: the front end ratio is going to be all of just the housing expense on a monthly basis, only that.
Yeah.
And then the back end ratio is everything else in addition to the housing. So that would be their
All of your
car loan
liabilities.
or any other liability divided by on a monthly basis how much their income is.
Yeah.
So
So there you go. So, it could change drastically, but if you think about it, maybe they're not having to go up as high, right? Because we're seeing that maybe we're not seeing the huge overages as we've been seeing from list price to sales price. So maybe, it helps them out a little bit. But, I like to always think and remember that whatever you're doing right now, if we're seeing inflation, we're seeing things go upward, with inflation, whatever you're purchasing is the same thing is happening, right? So whatever you're purchasing is still increasing as well, the value. So it's still good. It's fine.
yeah, it's like an amazing time to actually buy.
It is.
As weird as it seems, right? So there's
yeah.
like all that going on, and we just talked about like all those things, and you're like kind of as an agent probably had your heart like sink a little bit when Shauna said 7%, right? And you just had like, ugh. But let's think about this. If I ask you the same question of what is currently inflation running at on an annual basis, right? And what do you think it'll be next year? And what about the year after? And then just think about those numbers in your own mind, okay? So real quick, think about this year, next year, and 3 years from now. Put it in your mind. Think about that average number that it's going to be. Okay, so now you have that number. Then think about what that standard mortgage rate is going to be. Which number is less? Okay, so what happened is, I believe, I would say in everybody's mind, you put inflation at higher than the interest rate. And when you did that, you have a gap between it. And you have a magnified rate of return on your home that's super positive as it compares to the interest rate. And we've went over that before, but real quick, if you had 20% down on your home and had kind of like that standard loan, and you had 20% down, and if you thought inflation was going to be 10% and you thought interest rates were going to be 5%, okay? Then what you have is a 5% difference, but it's positive return to you, okay? Because it's normally the other way around. That in a traditional sense, inflation had normally been 2 or 3%, and interest rates had been about 5 or 6%. So you were losing money every year.
Yeah.
Now they're inverted and switched. So it's positive return to you, but it's magnified because you're borrowing on it and it's leveraged. So you're getting a 5-to-1 return on that because you would have 20% down. So it's magnified, it's levered, right? There's like something there. So if you're getting a 5% gain and it's levered times 5, then you're really getting a 25 times return.
So we have all these listings coming up. So, man, they should be flying off the shelves with that news.
No, it's a really
No,
big
but for
deal.
real.
You need to talk through those things because that's for real
You
of
know,
what's going on with the
people's
interest
mind
rates.
goes with the surface of what they're hearing on the news, and they're not really digging in to understand what does this truly mean, right? So, I was talking to Susan yesterday, and we should look at ourselves as local real estate economists because we are actually digging in, analyzing data very frequently now because it's changing so rapidly. And I mean, who has a better idea of what's happening than us as real estate professionals? So, there you go.
Hey, yeah, no, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on there, but in these changing times, it presents opportunities. There's always opportunities, right?
Yeah,
And
always.
so, yeah, just go ahead and buy that house.
Don't be scared.
No,
Don't.
buy a second one if you need to, or a third, whatever.
And the way I look at it is when we had a big crash in 07, 08, it was a banking issue, right? But if you look now, there's a lot of people who are cash buyers or they're putting a significant amount down.
Yeah,
right?
the issue
so there's
that
equity already in their homes.
yeah,
So,
there definitely is. And it's kind of a safe haven. And so what you're going to see now is there's always this back and forth whiplash of what's going on.
right.
Okay. So I think a better idea to break out is going to be a future topic. So we'll have Omkar make a note on this one that I do want to cover in a super nerdy segment, maybe when it's just me, myself. But, you know, if you're around, that's totally good. You'll add a lot of insight to when there's volatile stock market and people lose money in the stock market, like most people have currently done this year.
Yeah.
Right? If you were to look at most people's stock accounts, their balance is way down. And then what happens with that when people all of a sudden say, oh, I'm scared, and people run for the exits at the stock market, normally when it's way down. So the typical person sells when things are going bad. And they take it and put it aside into a safe haven. And then they go to something else. So what else are you going to go to? So they'll go to real estate, which is typically a safe haven. Because they don't want that same thing. So it ends up being the opposite. Then they return to the market when the market's roaring. So the stock market's going up, up. And then people are like, oh my gosh, it's up 40% this year. I need to get in.
Too late.
So then they put their money in when it's up 40% and they take it out when it's down.
Following it, I feel like you're behind, right? So,
I know, but that's how most people do it.
No, I know.
Because they're like, I got to get out of this. And then they get out just too early.
It's a risky.
It is. Most people,
risky
it
no
just
matter
totally
how
does
you-
not
how
work
you do
out.
it.
You have to just like buy and hold.
It's like gambling.
Yes. And timing the market, if you're ever trying to time it, it does become a real difficult thing. So, all right. So market approvals, the answer is
check with your
changing
buyers.
times.
If it's been more than a couple of weeks, it doesn't matter. Check in with your buyers. If you have active buyers right now, check in, understand their approval, talk to the lender, find out, if the rates go up. The same conversation that you had is how, this is a starting point, this list price. How high are you willing to go or how high can you go? Same with the interest rate.
Yep. And then also the same way, if you do have a home that you're selling, then you want to check on the other parties and ask deeper questions. Because if interest rates do change, then that could affect them as well, right? So
pay attention to those.
Think about,
approvals.
before you accept the offer.
Yeah. Okay.
Done.
Good.
Alternative building materials for residential construction specifically. Okay, so we've had all these different spikes in different directions. And there's a shortage of this, there's a shortage of that, I can't get enough of this, or oh my gosh, the price of, and whatever. And what happens is things need to continue moving along. Right? So we've had problems with lumber prices. All of a sudden we're like, bam, way up here. And I would ask you today, because this is being recorded, what are lumber prices right now? So think about lumber prices. And I would ask you real quick, how are lumber prices right now? Okay, that's just one input. But if I'm asking you right now without looking it up, how do you think lumber prices are?
Look it up.
No, so are lumber prices up or down, right now? Where do you think they are? Okay, so they got up like 1,300 or 1,600 for like just like a little bit, but they got up to like 1,200, 1,300. And, they had historically been around 400, 500, 600. So the question would be, what do you think lumber prices are currently at? Because that's an input. And then there's alternative methods of construction. Because here locally, people normally do build their home with wood, right? As a framing material. But there's other alternatives as prices go up. There's metal studs, which they use in commercial. Okay, and those are a little bit more expensive. There's concrete blocks that they use.
Are they now?
So that's the thing. As prices change, all these other materials become less.
We saw a home, I guess it was last year, a couple of years ago, started to be built with the concrete blocks. And I thought, what? But if you think about that, that's a solid house.
It really is.
Right? It's solid, secure. You insulate it. It's not going anywhere.
And then there's ICFs. And there's like, it's pre-construction where it's put together. Prefabbed and then brought in. And then that's all done. So it's kind of like made in a factory and then comes to you and you like install it and put it together. And
like a commercial building, you'll drive by and all of a sudden
you're like, whoa.
It's like, wow, that was fast.
Exactly. So that's how they're able to accomplish that. So these alternative building materials, as one thing goes up, the other becomes more attractive. And sometimes it's pricing, but sometimes we just fall into a habit. And you're like, well, that's not how we do it here in Dallas, right? We don't do it that way.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're like, but why? And then you're just like, well, because
everybody else does it that way. And that's the mentality, right?
Yes.
Because it's always been done that way. And that doesn't make it right. It's worth the due diligence to find out what are the pros and cons of this, who's done it around here.
Mm-hmm.
If it works for a commercial building, why wouldn't it work for a residential home? These commercial buildings are, a lot of times multi-story.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
So maybe you're going to start going with tilt wall construction for your house. You're just going to bring in and and stand it up and then have all open space in the middle.
Yeah.
Tilt wall construction for 1-stories. I don't know. It could work totally fine.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
All right.
anyways, there's alternatives and wood is one and there's different ways. So I would say open your mind and think about these different methods.
Yeah.
As you run across them, pass them along to us.
Yeah, if you hear of any builder using alternative products, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Well, that's a wrap for us today, ladies and
Wrap it.
gentlemen. 2 topics covered in the books and completed.
Yep.
And then let's talk about today. I've had a bunch of people that say, like, hey, I want to help out today.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
That's
and
nice.
get ready for the luau.
Yeah.
And then I looked at the weather forecast. Well, I just know that it rained at the very least. So talk a little bit about that real quick, because
Well,
people
we're
said I want to
limited.
help.
We did yesterday put out some lights and did some things out there, but with the rain, we're kind of limited on what we can do outside. However, we have drained our pool and at the lake and refilling it. We did an acid wash and refill, and it needs to be swept.
Okay.
Just kidding. That's a hard job, you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
But yes, in all honesty, for the luau, if you have an idea how to make something in a large quantity, a side in a large quantity, and you might be interested in that, call me, because that would be something that would be
You
really
can do
helpful,
indoors.
and you could do indoors, and maybe you keep it at your place until Saturday, because we're going to be short on refrigerator space. But if you have the ability to do that and you're interested, let me know. I would love that. And then we're probably going to need coolers
yeah.
for ice. So if any of you have extra coolers, they're going to be needed.
Okay.
So
Pro tip for the coolers, bring them inside now. Okay, so a cooler works much, much better if you actually bring it inside and get
And
it at
cool it?
least to, like bring it to normal temperature, right? Open it up. People always take the cooler and they're like, yeah, it's in the garage. And you go in your garage, it's like 120 degrees in the garage. And then you're like, well, I'm going to just throw some ice in it. Well, it's 120 degrees in there. If you at least bring it down to room temperature, right? So bring your cooler inside, open it up, let it at least get to room temperature, and that's much better.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
So
So
do that. And then if you do want to help out, tomorrow's going to be a better day.
Yes.
We're not going to be at the lake all day today doing stuff like we probably would have wanted to, probably should have, probably need to. So tomorrow will be a better day. We'll be up there all day tomorrow. Okay? Mm-hmm. At least I
But
will
for
be.
now, coolers and sides or a dip, some type of appetizer. If you're
I
thinking,
don't think you should be
can
calling
do-
the realtors that dips.
Anyway, if you're interested in that, let me know. That'd be great.
If you think the joke landed, let me know. But it didn't.
See you guys.
Two topics. Changing markets. How long is an approval good for? Ready? Okay.
I don't know who did that, but
I don't know either. Alternative building materials.
Plastic. No, I'm kidding. Just,
Ready?
yeah.
Got it. All right. Thank you, Omkar. Appreciate that.
It's a great, great day. It's a good day. Get up.
Lego block. Send me that.
Can't you see the sun shining? I woke up and I rolled out of bed. Got dressed and I left at 10. Check my nails, looking good. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Oh yeah. I know this'll be the day. Everything will be okay. I kiss my cares all away. It's gonna be a good, good